Steel and Soul, Strength and Grace. Chapter 1. The Iron Heart. Detroit's morning frost settled over the rusted bones of what used to be the pride of America. The steel mill loomed like a giant tombstone at the edge of a broken skyline, its smokestacks silent but its walls still sweating heat. Inside, sparks flew like angry fireflies, illuminating the hunched figures of men grinding, forging, welding. Dante Cole was one of them. He moved like a machine, precise, silent, tireless. His arms, scarred and muscle-bound, worked the steel with a rhythm that matched his heart, steady, unrelenting. Sweat ran down his back beneath the stiff denim of his uniform, mixing with the grease and grime of years. No one spoke much on the line. Words were too expensive to waste in a place like this. But every man on the floor knew one thing. Dante could fight. At night, under a different kind of light, fluorescent bulbs flickering like bad memories, he was Ironheart. In a warehouse-turned-fight club on the east side, Dante bled for rent money. The ring was more a cage than a square, surrounded by yelling men, illegal bets, and cold beers. There were no referees, no judges. Just fists. Tonight, the air stank of beer and desperation. The crowd roared as Dante stepped into the ring. Across from him was a brute nicknamed Chains, a thick-necked brawler with tattoos creeping across his chest like bad decisions. The bell rang. It wasn't a fight, it was a storm. Chains lunged, throwing haymakers like a man who'd never been afraid of jail or death. Dante ducked, weaved, took a few shots to test the man's rhythm. He didn't smile, he didn't talk trash, he just waited. And then he struck. A hook to the ribs. Uppercut to the chin. Chains staggered, swung wildly. Dante ended it with a left cross that made the whole warehouse go silent for a split second. Chains fell like a tree, and Ironheart stood over him, chest heaving, jaw tight. Later, Dante sat alone in the back room, counting out crumpled bills. His knuckles were raw, his brow split open above the eye. Marlowe, the club's promoter, slapped him on the back. "You're a ghost in there, man. Like you don't even exist till you land a hit." Dante didn't respond. He just zipped the money into his jacket and left. Outside, the Detroit cold slapped his face like an insult. He walked the 10 blocks home through empty streets and dim-lit liquor stores. Past the corner where a candlelight vigil flickered from a shooting last week. Past the school where his sister used to play violin in the band. He arrived at their rundown apartment just after midnight. Maya was awake, seated on the floor in their tiny living room, surrounded by sheet music and her battered violin case. The glow from her desk lamp gave her an almost angelic silhouette. She looked up as Dante entered. "You said you'd be home by 10. Dante sighed and closed the door behind him. "The fight ran late." She stood. "And I suppose you're bleeding because you slipped in the shower." "I won, Maya." "I don't care if you won," she said. "You promised." "I needed the cash." "You promised," she repeated, softer now. The words didn't come from anger. They came from disappointment. That was worse. He walked past her, placing the cash on the table. "You've got your audition coming up. You need new strings, travel money, food. That's rent, utilities, everything. You think I don't know that?" She snapped, her voice rising. "You think Juilliard wants me if my brother's fighting in underground rings like some gladiator?" He turned slowly, eyes dark. "Better than letting you go hungry. I'd rather starve than bury you." Silence. Long. Heavy. She looked away first. In the bathroom, Dante washed the blood from his face. His reflection stared back at him like a stranger. Not just tired, haunted. There were ghosts behind his eyes. Of fights, of broken promises, of a father lying still on a canvas while the crowd screamed for more. He remembered his father's voice. Deep, proud, and angry. A coal never stays down. That voice had driven him into the ring. And sometimes, it drove him to the edge of rage he barely understood. He touched the scar on his brow. One of many. His body was a map of every choice he'd made, every time he refused to stay down. 3 days later, the break came. He was back at the mill, finishing a double shift when he heard shouting near the front gate. A car had slammed into a pole, and 2 men were pulling a third from the backseat. Blood everywhere. Panic. Dante ran to help, lifting the injured man like a sack of potatoes and rushing him inside to the safety zone. That's where he met Eli Vargas. Eli was the foreman's friend, visiting from out of town. A lean man in his late 50s, with silver-streaked hair, a limp, and eyes that had seen too many fights. He watched Dante with a strange look, like he was seeing more than just a man covered in soot. Later, in the locker room, Eli approached him. "You've got fast hands," Eli said. "Fast eyes, too. I saw what you did back there." Dante shrugged. "Adrenaline." "No," Eli said. "That was instinct. You're a fighter." Dante paused. "I get by." Eli nodded slowly. "I used to train champions. Then I lost one. Lost myself after that. A beat. I'm starting over," Eli said. "And I think you are too." That night, Dante couldn't sleep. Eli's words echoed in his mind. Maybe he was tired of fighting in the dark. Maybe he wanted to be something more than just Ironheart. Maybe it was time to step into the light. To be continued.